The spotlight always found Marshall Hall, even if he never sought it out. Marshall distinguished himself by being steady rather than loud. In a world of gospel music that is crowded with powerful vocals and compelling stage presences, a family guy before a frontman, a worshipper before a performer, Marshall instilled a feeling of security and warmth into everything he came into contact with. Hall, who was most recognized for his tenure with the Gaither Vocal Band from 2004 to 2009, was more than just a vocalist. He was the group's emotional center. Every harmony had depth because of his rich, smooth baritone, and his calm demeanor brought his bandmates exuberant energy under control. Marshall never attempted to steal the spotlight. Whether he was singing with Bill Gaither, Guy Penrod, or David Phelps, he simply appeared, powerfully, humbly, and reliably. However, his story doesn't start with Gaither, and it doesn't stop there either. Born in 1970 in Illinois, Marshall Hall grew up in a Christian household steeped in music and church activities. He fell in love with ministry while leading worship at his local church as a youngster. He wrote songs for hearts rather than headlines while serving in tiny sanctuaries, long before the stage. His early compositions attracted notice, and he soon found himself working as a studio vocalist in Nashville, suddenly providing background vocals for well-known gospel and Christian performers. More than just a musical opportunity, Bill Gaither's invitation to join the vocal band in 2004 was a call to service. Marshall gained recognition for his renditions of songs like Yes, I Know, Loving God, Loving Each Other, and Glorious Impossible during his 5 years with the group. His delivery was always considerate. It was never rushed or ostentatious, just the truth. However, Marshall quietly quit the band in 2009 at the height of his fame, leaving many fans to wonder, why would someone leave when everything appears so good? Instead of controversy, failure, or burnout, what transpired was something much less common in the music industry. A man putting his family before his business, his calling before his career, and obedience before a mission. This is the tale of Marshall Hall, who was more than just a voice. His greatest performance may not have taken place on stage, but rather in the manner he lived life. The spotlight always found Marshall Hall, even if he never sought it out. Marshall stood out in the field of evangelical music, which is full of powerful vocalists and charismatic stage presences. He was stable, modest, and firmly anchored in his beliefs, rather than striving to be the loudest or most flamboyant. A family guy before a frontman and a worshipper before a performer, Marshall instilled warmth, security, and genuineness into everything he came into contact with. Marshall, who was most recognized for his tenure with the illustrious Gaither Vocal Band from 2004 to 2009, was more than just a vocalist. He served as the group's emotional core. Every harmony gained depth and soul from his deep, smooth baritone, and his calm demeanor brought his bandmates' exuberant energy under control. Marshall never attempted to steal the show. Whether he was singing with gospel heavyweights like David Phelps, Guy Penrod, or Bill Gaither himself, he just showed up obediently, modestly, and with strength. However, Marshall Hall's tale doesn't start with the Gaither Vocal Band, nor does it stop there. It is a tale about ministry, family, faith, and taking the less traveled route in a culture that craves celebrity. This is the story of a man whose best performance may have occurred in his life rather than on stage. The life of Marshall Hall serves as a lovely reminder that greatness isn't always ostentatious or flamboyant. Marshall's narrative stands out as a monument to faith, humility, and the bravery to choose what really matters. In a society where fame frequently seems like the final aim, he never pushed to be the center of attention or tried to be the star. Rather, he allowed his warm, rich and steady voice to do the talking. He was the steady hand, the resolute soul, and the one who quietly held everything together in the harmony of the Gaither Vocal Band. And that teaches us something crucial. Sometimes the most potent presence is the one who just comes up dutifully. And fee. Easy choice for Marshall to quit the Gaither Vocal Band at the pinnacle of his career. It would be viewed by many as a step away from achievement. Marshall, however, saw it as a first step towards something much bigger: family, faith, and answering God's call. This uncommon and brave decision serves as a reminder that life is evaluated not just by outward accomplishments, but also by the strength of our ties to the people we care about and the principles we uphold. Marshall taught us a valuable lesson about priorities. By removing himself from the spotlight, he demonstrated to us that sometimes the most meaningful ministry takes place in the peaceful time spent at home, in the love we have for our family, and in the honesty with which we conduct our everyday lives, not on a stage in front of thousands of people. His songwriting, preaching, and ongoing support of nearby churches reveal a guy who views music as more than just amusement, but as a means of healing and praise. Marshall's heart is genuine, truthful, and intensely personal. It pulses in time with his faith in every note and lyric. The honesty of Marshall Hall's narrative is what makes it so motivational. It's about living a calling with courage and humility, not about chasing goals for personal fame. It all comes down to understanding when to move ahead and when to back off. It's about finding serenity in obedience rather than in acclaim. Marshall continues to be a source of unwavering trust and sincere affection for both fans and other performers. His life serves as a reminder to all of us to maintain our sense of reality, to cling to the things that are most important, and to keep in mind that sometimes the most subdued voices have the most influence. Marshall Hall demonstrated to us that genuine worship originates from the heart and is consistent, dependable, and unflinching. In a gospel culture that is frequently characterized by spectacular acts and audacious claims, the way he lived his life outside of the spotlight may have left a greater legacy than the psalms he performed. The tale of Marshall Hall inspires us to see past the celebrity and value the unsung heroes whose loyalty subtly but effectively changes the world long after the music stops playing. His life's melody of grace, family, and commitment never stops inspiring. Faith-based foundations, early life and childhood. Born in Springfield, Illinois in 1970, Marshall Hall grew up in a household where church and faith were central to everyday existence. His mother taught Sunday school, and his father served as a church deacon. Both of his parents were ardent Christians. In the Hall home, worship and service were inextricably linked to music from the start. Marshall grew up surrounded by gospel music, hymns, and the lively atmosphere of the church. His earliest recollections include attending church services that emphasized music as a means of worship and a means of establishing a relationship with God, as well as family singing around the piano. For young Marshall, music was more than simply a pastime. It was a vocation. He began leading worship at his neighborhood church by the time he was a teenager. Even so, he had no interest in being in the spotlight. Marshall once thought, "I wasn't trying to be famous or anything, I just wanted to use music to help people connect with God." He started writing songs that spoke to the heart rather than the charts. In those tiny havens, his talent for expressing the unadulterated, honest feelings of faith was demonstrated by these early songs, which were full of sincerity and spiritual depth. The Nashville years. From songwriting to studio backing, in order. To take his musical vocation more seriously, Marshall relocated to Nashville, the epicenter of Christian music in America. After graduating from high school, Marshall's journey to Nashville was more subdued and modest than that of many who came seeking recognition and the blazing lights of notoriety. He rose to prominence as a backup vocalist, contributing his deep baritone to albums featuring some of the most well-known Christian and gospel artists. Marshall made a substantial contribution, although in the background, without pursuing fame. His steady, silky voice brought soul and warmth to many records, bringing melodies to life. He developed his songwriting abilities at the same time. His songs were prayers set to melody and meditations on faith, hope, and grace. They were never about catchy hooks or commercial success. Marshall was growing and preparing at this time. He established a reputation for professionalism, dependability, and heart while working in studios and cooperating with artists and producers. He was able to stay faithful to his calling, musical ministry, while honing his talent and learning about the music industry. A call to ministry, Marshall Hall was asked to join the Gaither Vocal Band in 2004 by gospel music icon Bill Gaither. This was a ministry calling, not just a job opportunity. Rich harmonies, upbeat tunes, and stirring performances, that touched audiences all throughout the nation and beyond were hallmarks of the Gaither Vocal Band. Marshall's life took a new turn when he joined the band. His mellow baritone voice swiftly established itself as a crucial component of the group's sound, mixing in flawlessly with Guy Penrod's dramatic vocals and David Phelps's soaring solos. Beyond his voice, though, Marshall's composed, steady demeanor was what balanced a group full of powerful personalities and extraordinary skill. Marshall was well known for his exceptional renditions of songs like Yes, I Know, Loving God, Loving Each Other, and Glorious Impossible. During his 5 years with the Gaither Vocal Band, his method was always deliberate and sincere. There were no ostentatious gestures or vocal tricks, only passionate singing that captivated audiences. Marshall served as both a worship leader and a performer on stage. He was there to inspire those in attendance and lead hearts into worship, not to steal the show. He served as a buddy and mentor to younger members backstage, providing guidance, encouragement, and prayer. The unexpected departure, deciding between faith and family. At the height of his fame and popularity with the Gaither Vocal Band in 2009, Marshall took a choice that shocked both fans and co-workers. He quietly quit the group. Why? Would anyone leave when everything appeared to be ideal? The response was straightforward but deep. Marshall prioritized his family over his career. He put his calling ahead of his career. He put obedience ahead of ambition. Marshall's choice was more about embracing what really mattered than it was about leaving anything behind. He was obviously drawn to slow down and concentrate on his wife and kids. After years of touring, recording and performing, it was challenging to be present at home, to raise his family and to develop his faith in the manner he desired, due to the duties of traveling and the responsibilities of public life. This conflict between the urge to serve God and family and the desire to serve audiences is one that many artists face. Marshall's decision was uncommon in a field that is frequently motivated by fame and achievement. To abandon a successful career to pursue a more fulfilling one required guts and conviction. Life after Gaither, songwriting, family, and ministry. In many respects, Marshall Hall's story started over after he departed the Gaither Vocal Band. Marshall concentrated on writing songs after being released from the demanding schedule of touring and performing, including his spiritual journey and life experiences into his songs. His psalms became even more intimate, expressing themes of grace, obedience, and the joys and challenges of everyday life. Additionally, he reaffirmed his commitment to service in more intimate, smaller contexts, such as worship conferences, local churches, and mentoring up-and-coming musicians. He was revered for his character and spiritual leadership, in addition to his vocal prowess. Because of his humility and genuineness, Marshall's family thrived at home. He has frequently attributed his strength to his wife's support. On Marshall, totally present as a husband and father, they brought up their kids on a foundation of love and faith. This period of his life exemplifies the silent strength of faith manifested in routine activities such as family dinners, church services, and late-night prayers, things that don't garner media attention, but instead mold a person's lasting legacy. The heritage of a consistent voice. The legacy of Marshall Hall is not determined by accolades, #1 singles, or performances that make headlines. It is determined by the lives he impacted via mentoring, music, and leadership. Marshall stood out by being dependable in a society that frequently honors the most flamboyant voices and celebrities. His powerful, steady voice served as the binding agent for harmonies. Those around him were grounded by his presence. Marshall demonstrated that celebrity and wealth are not the key to success in music and ministry. It's about putting God and family first, being humble, and being true to your purpose. His concerts, with the Gaither Vocal Band, continue to be cherished and inspirational experiences for a large number of people. For those closest to Marshall Hall, however, he is more than just a vocalist. He is a man of honesty, loyalty, and unwavering love, a well-sung life.